Welcome back students to online learning platform Unit2 online education. Students, in today's video lecture we are going to continue the second lesson from our supplementary book Snapshot. The name of the second lesson is The Address and the writer of this lesson is Marga Minko. Students, in last video lecture we discussed about the introduction portion of this lesson, the summary of this lesson and the beginning detailed discussion of this portion. Okay, before we begin the later discussion of this lesson, let's have a glance of the last video lecture. Students, we discussed that there is one character, there is one daughter actually who has lost her mother in the World War. The family has been lost, the mother has been lost, and even the house also has been lost. She remembers the older memory of the childhood. She can remember that actually there are so many things that she possesses that is her own, but actually somebody else is having this all the things. She remembers and finds out the address of the person, of the lady, and she reaches to the home, she reaches to the place, and when the door has been opened by the lady, she can observe that actually the lady was having, she wore the same coat, the same cardigan that actually her mother was wearing. So she can come to know that actually she has reached up to the same address and the correct address. She asks the lady about entering the house, but actually the lady did not welcome in a better manner. She didn't show any kind of great interest about the daughter. She felt that actually she needs to find out everything. Then the daughter, who had actually come there at that place for finding out the things, she returns because she was not welcomed, and the lady, she even didn't allow her to enter the house, and that's why she was not able to enter someone else's house forcefully. So that's why she decided to return from the place. Then she tries to catch the train. She decides to leave, but actually then she thinks that she has arrived at the place to find out all things. That's why how can she go without finding anything, without searching anything, and that's why she goes back at the same house. And then somebody else opened the door. Actually the daughter of that lady opened the door, and the daughter that she asked her to come in to get it, and the daughter welcomed also the daughter of that lady of that house. She welcomed her also, and she finds something different, something strange. That's that portion we are going to discuss in today's lecture. Okay students, suppose you find any kind of difficulty, you are free to ask me anytime. Okay, so the second page in your textbook we are going to discuss. Okay. Now, every time she leaves here, now she is remembering all the things about the mother, that the mother had talked to the daughter. That's why she tries to remember all the things that what actually the mother had told to her. That's thing we are going to discuss. Every time she leaves here, she takes something home with her, said my mother, the mother of the writer. She took all the table, silver in one go, and then the antique plates that hung there. She had trouble lugging those large vases, and I'm worried she got a crick in her back from the crockery. My mother shook her head pityingly. I would never have dared ask her. She suggested it to me herself. She even insisted she wanted to save all my nice things. If we have to leave here, we shall lose everything, she says. Right now, she remembers the older things about the mother and even this lady, because she thinks that how this lady could be able to have all my things. And then she remembers the older memory about the mother and this lady, that actually this lady was habituated to come our house when it was the time of World War. The family was alive, mother was alive. At that time, that lady was habituated to come the house, and then they could be able to know all the things that one by one the things have been stolen, the plates, the crockeries, and all these things. She could remember these things when she observed the fork, silver spoon, and the fork on the table. Then she could realize, oh, these things are actually of my possession, but they have this right now. And that's why she remembered all these things, the older memory. Next paragraph. Have you agreed with her that she should keep anything? I asked. Have you agreed with her that she should keep everything? Means she should keep these things with her or not? You agree or not? This question has been arrived. As if that's necessary, my mother cried. See, this dialogue right now, it is description about the past incident. As if that's necessary, my mother cried. Because right now the mother is not alive. In this conversation, there is mother also. That's why it is the incident of past right now. As if that's necessary, my mother cried. It would simply be an insult to talk like that. And think about the risk she's running each time she goes out of our door with a full suitcase of bag. Remember this statement, this sentence is very significant. And think about the risk she's running. Means she's taking the kind of risk. Which risk is that? Each time she goes out of our door with a full suitcase of bag. Why is it said that every time she goes with the kind of suitcase full of the things? Because actually she steals, she carries the things from their house every time. Whenever she comes, that lady, every time she carries, she takes the things with her in the suitcase, in a bag, and then she goes away. So that is also the kind of risk that she is running with her. I hope students you are understanding. Suppose you don't understand, you find any kind of difficulty, you can ask me anytime. Okay? Yes, the next page, the first paragraph. My mother seemed to notice that I was not entirely convinced. Means my mother could understand that I didn't understand this matter fully. She couldn't be able to convince me fully. Means I couldn't agree. The writer says this. She looked at me reprovingly, and after that we spoke no more about it. It means the full stop about that topic. We didn't talk much more about this thing. Meanwhile, next paragraph. Meanwhile, I had arrived at the station without having paid much attention to things on the way. I was walking in familiar places again for the first time since the war. See, familiar places means, of course, she had visited these places, but it was the time of World War, before so many years, and now so many years have been passed. So again she is visiting all these places, familiar places, after a long time. But I did not want to go further than was necessary. I didn't want to upset myself with the sight of streets and houses full of memories from a precious time. The reason that she did not want to go anywhere more further, because suppose she passes through this ways, suppose she passes through the streets, she can mesmerize all these memories of this precious time, and that's why she can become upset. And right now she doesn't want to become upset. That's why she decides not to go on, not to visit the places and the streets, because it's all about memory. When we have loving memory, precious memory in our past time, and suppose we visit the same place, the same area where actually we develop this memory, again we can have the same sentiments, the same emotions, the same feelings. And that's why the writer also thinks and she decides here that now I don't want to go on. Now I don't want to visit the same places because it's all about memory and I don't want to get upset. Why upset? Because in the past incident, in the past duration, it was loving time, but now it is not more. It will not be possible to have the same time again, and that reality can make the writer upset. That's why. Okay, next paragraph. Can you understand, students? Please pay attention. In the train back, I saw Mrs. Darling in front of me again as I had the first time I met her. In the train back. Now she decides to leave, that's why. In the train back, I saw Mrs. Darling in front of me again I had the first time I met her. It was the morning after the day my mother had told me about her. Again it is the description about past incident, that when actually she met Mrs. Darling for the very first time. I had got up late and coming downstairs, I saw my mother about to see someone out, a woman with a broad back. Students, you may underline also, this is the physical appearance about Mrs. Darling also. Suppose it is asked in examination, then you may write the answers properly. Okay, that how Mrs. Darling, how does she look actually? That way you can write. Next paragraph. That's my daughter, said my mother, the mother of the writer. She beckoned to me. The woman nodded and picked up the suitcase under the coat rack. She wore a brown coat and shapeless hat. Means no proper shape was there of hat. Does she live far away? I asked. Seeing the difficulty she had going out of the house with the heavy case. It means she was carrying a very heavy suitcase with her and it was very difficult for her to carry it with her, and it was very difficult to come in. And that's why she asked the daughter, the writer asked the mother that actually does she live very far away? She thinks that that's why she carried this heavy suitcase with her. That's why she asks. In Madeleine Street, said my mother, number 46. Remember that. See, students, you may underline this statement. From these statements, you can come to know that when actually the writer came to know about the address. How the writer could come to know actually about this address. Okay, you may answer like this also. Next paragraph, students. I had remembered it, but I had waited a long time to go there. Initially, after the liberation, I was absolutely not interested in all that stored stuff. And naturally, I was also rather afraid of it. Afraid of being confronted with things that had belonged to a connection that no longer existed. Which one hidden away in the cupboards and boxes and waiting and wait until they were put back in their place again, which had endured all those years because they were things. Here it is said that after the World War, actually the daughter was not interested to recollect the older things, that actually the things were of her possession. Rather, she was afraid of getting it again because it was a kind of fear, it was a kind of scare because of the World War. But actually these were the things, and that's why it was possibility that still she can get the things again and she can recollect the things. Let's see what happens the next. Will she recollect the things again, or she will decide to leave the place? But gradually, next paragraph, but gradually everything became more normal again. Bread was getting to be a lighter color. There was a bed you could sleep in, unthreatened, a room with a view. You were more used to glancing at each day. Now the things, it was the time of World War, it was just stopped only, so still the effect was there in the mind. But now, after some period of time, everything started to become normal, and that's why she also became normal. Physically also, her mental condition also, and some change we can find. There was a bed you could sleep in, unthreatened, a room with a view. You were more used to glancing at each day. It means now there was not terror, now there was not any kind of fear at the time of sleeping. It means relief. This statement shows the mental and emotional relief. And one day I noticed I was curious about all the possessions that must still be at the address. I wanted to see them, touch, remember. Now everything started becoming normal, and that's why she has this desire of getting all these things back. First, she wants to see all these things and she wants to remember everything. Next paragraph. After my first visit in vain to Mrs. Darling's house, I decided to try a second time. Now, a girl of about 15 opened the door to me. I asked her if her mother was at home. First, she visited the house because she already had the address. Her mother had told her about the address. She visited the address. Okay, it was the house of Mrs. Darling. First time Mrs. Darling had opened the door. She did not show any kind of curiosity, any interest to welcome the girl, the daughter, and that's why she became very upset. The daughter became very upset and she left the place because Mrs. Darling asked her to do so. Then the daughter thinks to leave the place, the city, the town, but she thinks that actually she has arrived at this place to recollect the things, to see it again and to remember the older memory again. And that's why she decides to go the home back again, and she goes also. When she reached the house, this time someone else opened the door, and this person is the daughter of Mrs. Darling. Now let's see what happens. I asked her if her mother was at home. No, she said, my mother's doing an errand. No matter, I said, I will wait for her. Here it is inquiry about the mother. She is involved, and that's why she said, the daughter said that actually no problem, whatever she is doing, she is free or not, I will wait at her house, at this house. She decides to wait, and From this point, now the story will take some another turn. The mentality of this daughter will be changed because of some incident and because of some memory. What is going to happen the next? For that to know the thing, you have to complete the reading portion of this lesson. Today onwards, we discussed about, see, the visit of the lady, the daughter, then again going back, she mesmerizes the things, the streets, the ways she was habituated to pass it on the past period of time. Then she remembers the visit of Mrs. Darling at her house, stealing the things, and she decides that now I want to get all these things back. Earlier she was not wanting these things back, but now she wants. Again, she goes back at the house, and this time the daughter of Mrs. Darling opened the house, and now she will enter the house. What will be happen, that we will discuss in the next video lecture. Students, your today's homework is that you have to describe the physical appearance of Mrs. Darling in the past time when she visited the mother and the daughter in the past time. That physical appearance you will write, and the next question, that you will write down the emotional condition, the emotional situation of the daughter who has lost the family in the World War. Okay, these two questions you have to note down in your today's homework. Suppose you find any kind of difficulty, any problem in understanding, you are free to ask me anytime. Thank you, students. Have a nice day.